Sup everyone, welcome back to Jades Corner. On this newest edition of the new Fantasy Fight series, we'll settle the score on who would win in a fight to the death between Edward Cullen and Stefan Salvatore. These two powerful vampires from Twilight and the Vampire Diaries possess incredible powers and abilities that would make a battle between them awesome. So join me as we break down the battle between these two vampires regarding strength, speed, agility, durability, endurance, combat experience, and hacks. But before we begin this fight to the death, if you're new here, subscribe, hit that like button, and ring the notification bell to stay up to date on all things supernatural. Now let's see who wins this battle between the telepathic vampire and the Ripper of Monterey.
The craziest and wildest fighters have assembled from around the world to join in the fight. But only one will be declared the best. This is it, the fight we've all been waiting for. Which of these two challengers will walk away a champion?
This is what I am.
I said stop! The battle has begun. Are you ready? Who will emerge a champion? Let's get started!
So for strength, we're gonna give it to Edward here. He was able to stop a speeding out of control van with one hand. The average weight of a typical van is at least 3.5 tons, which is insane. Way stronger than any physical feat performed by Stefan in the entire Vampire Diaries series. He also held his own against the likes of Victoria, James, Riley, and even the Volturi. At least Felix of the Volturi for a little bit before he got his ass whooped. But he can be overpowered in fighting multiple opponents, such as Riley and Victoria as seen in Twilight Saga Eclipse. Vampires with superior strength power such as Emmett and Felix are stated and shown to be physically stronger than him. His teeth are stated to be able to bite through steel and even pulverize granite, and he was seen during the events of Eclipse to be strong enough to juggle full-sized minivans, which is also crazy. He is stated to be able to do the same with motorcycles as well. He can backhand a human and it would break most of their bones on impact, and he can pulverize a human skull with a single punch from his fist. As for Stefan possesses all the standard powers and abilities of a non-original vampire in his verse. Stefan has also shown himself to be an experienced fighter, able to subdue enemies easily, and he scales relative to his brother Damon, who is average in strength in terms of a vampire his age. He's easily outclassed by other higher tier vampires in his verse, such as Marcel Gerard, the Originals, Catherine, and even Julian. He scales above all vampires younger than him in age, and his strongest feats are when he is a Ripper with no humanity and is emotionally unstable, which allows him to increase his strength to the point of fighting on par with superior vampires like Julian, and he can decapitate people and other supernaturals like hybrids with the swing of a handsaw. None of these feats that Stefan has performed, in my honest opinion, surpass any of the insane feats that Edward has performed in the Twilight novels and movies. So in my opinion, this is going to go to Edward here.
What will happen now? Will the tide of battle turn?
For speed, we're gonna once again give it to Edward Cullen. For Edward, he far outclasses normal vampires from the Vampire Diaries universe in speed and is stated to be the fastest of the Cullen family. His speed is relative to the Michelsons, aka the Originals, who all scale around hypersonic levels of speed. Even more impressive in Edward's case is that he's possibly even faster than all of the Michelsons, including Klaus and even the upgraded Originals like Marcel and Lucian. Edward's fastest speed feat was when he circled around a meadow twice in half a second. Insane. This feat easily scales him to be faster than any hybrid or vampire type in the Vampire Diaries universe and places him in the hypersonic plus range of speed. He can perceive individual milliseconds and kill a room of 20 people in less than 5 seconds, as stated in Midnight Sun, which is basically Twilight. Instead of being in Bella's perspective, it's the events of the first Twilight movie and novel from Edward's perspective. Also, in Midnight Sun, he considers 100 miles per hour to be too slow for him. And in Twilight, he crosses Bella's yard, which is 20 feet long, in the same time it takes for her eyes to focus. Now, for Stefan, he moves relative to other normal vampires in his verse, who can all casually run at supersonic levels of speed. And as we all know, for our versus battle channels out there and our power scalers, supersonic level far and away is outclassed by hypersonic. So this, in my opinion, goes to Edward Cullen without a doubt.
And the battle continues. Let's keep it up.
For agility, we're gonna give these two guys a tie. Now, Edward is agile when fighting and cannot be caught off guard due to his mind-reading powers, specifically seen during the vision in the final battle against the Volturi during the events of Breaking Dawn, and during the events of the first Twilight movie and novel from his perspective in Midnight Sun. For Stefan, he can use his super speed to enhance his fighting speed and capabilities like many of the other vampires showcased in the Vampire Diaries universe. So this, in my opinion, has to be a tie between the both of them.
Pick up the pace! Who will emerge victorious?
For durability, we're gonna give it to Edward Cullen. Edward has very few weaknesses and can only be killed by fire, as vampire blood in Twilight is highly flammable and can negate their regeneration entirely, or by removing all the limbs on their crystallized bodies. In Twilight, vampires cannot be killed by human effort and are unharmed by sunlight, garlic, holy water, silver, or any kind of stake or cross, and can enter homes without permission. Also, any standard human weapon, including bullets, bounce off of them without pain or harm. The only known way to kill a vampire is to dismember his or her body and burn the remains before they can reconstruct themselves. Yes, you just heard me correctly. Reconstruct themselves. This is why in Twilight you need to dismember all the body parts, because if you don't before you burn them, here's one of two things that can happen. The first, they can run so fast they can just get rid of all the flames on their body. And second, they can reform and reconstruct themselves before you have a chance to burn them. Their durability is absolutely wild. As for Stefan, he has a lot of weaknesses that Edward could very easily exploit, such as decapitation, desiccation, fire, heart extraction, invitation, sunlight, extreme physical trauma, vervain, and especially wood. And since Edward has telepathy, he can read Stefan's mind and he'll easily discover all of Stefan's weaknesses and exploit them as quickly as possible due to his superior strength and speed. So in this category, we're gonna easily give it to Edward Cullen.
Anything can happen now. Which of these two challengers will walk away a champion?
For endurance, it's once again going to be a tie between these two guys. Both of these characters can fight for long periods of time without getting tired, as far as we know. So for this category, we're gonna keep it real short and tight. It's going to be a tie.
Which one of these two will emerge on top?
Now here is where Stefan Salvatore takes the edge against Edward Cullen in this fight. For combat experience, it's gonna easily go to Stefan Salvatore without a doubt. Now, for Edward, he isn't seen partaking in much combat throughout the movies or the novels to my recollection, and his list of opponents isn't even remotely close to the level and variety of supernatural Stefan has fought, killed, or dealt with. He's also younger than Stefan as well by a large margin. As for Stefan, he has dealt with many different types of supernaturals in his verse, including werewolves, witches, hybrids, and various different types of modified or stronger variants of vampires like the originals. Plus, He's older than Edward, so for combat experience, this easily goes to Stefan, and it's not up for debate or discussion.
It all comes down to this. Pull out all the stops.
For experience, it's once again going to go to Stefan Salvatore, and this battle is becoming a lot more even than a lot of you guys probably thought it was going to be. So for Edward, he is younger than Stefan and he's only around 100 years old or so, give or take. As for Stefan, Stefan was stated to be extremely smart, with Damon even stating that he went to Harvard, and he's 171 years old and has been a vampire far longer than Edward has. So experience has to go to Stefan for damn sure.
This bout will determine who is the strongest once and for all. This match decides the winner. This is the last round.
And last but not least, the most game-changing category for this video, hacks. For hacks, Edward's most potent abilities are his insane enhanced speed and his broken telepathy abilities, the latter of which is highly problematic for Stefan to overcome. He is also considered to be the most dangerous of the Cullens due to his insane telepathy powers, stated in New Moon to be impossible to catch off guard or sneak up on, and in Midnight Sun, which is the first Twilight movie / novel from Edward's perspective as mentioned earlier, instead of Bella's, his mind reading powers allow him to scan for battle strategies in an opponent's mind, sense when an opponent is going to attack him, and adjust his stance based on an opponent's intentions. In Eclipse, he was able to anticipate an opponent's move before they were even made, and manipulates other vampires to act against their own will with his mind reading. He can even read the thoughts of people when they aren't actively thinking, which is completely broken. As for Stefan, Stefan's abilities are vast. He has dream manipulation, compulsion, illusion creation, emotion manipulation, a lesser form of telepathy done through physical contact and from a short distance without physical contact, and this is way weaker than Edward's by far. Resurrection, accelerated development, and mind manipulation. And the most potent of these abilities is by far his ability to use compulsion, which doesn't work on other vampires. Now, we're gonna apply these same rules to Edward, who is also a vampire. So assuming that Stefan tries to use compulsion in this fight, it's not going to work on Edward. But even if he decided to try and use it, like I mentioned before, Edward's mental capabilities and telepathy powers are just absolutely broken and insane. So for this, it's going to Edward Cullen without a shadow of a doubt. No ifs, ands, buts, or debates. And the winner of this battle is Edward Cullen. Sorry, Stefan.
You lose.
Finish him. Death awaits you.
Fatality.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, as it helps this video perform better in the algorithm and reach more people. Comment your thoughts on this video below. I go through all the comments, so any feedback is appreciated. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, consider making today that day. And when you subscribe, don't forget to hit that bell icon and set those notifications to all so that you never miss a future video. Also, don't forget to join my brand new Discord server linked below. All my socials are linked in the description below as well. And I also have two brand new channels, Jades Corner Comics and Jades Corner Anime, both covering the same things I talk about on this channel, but for comics and anime respectively. So the link to those channels will be in the description below, as well as a pinned comment. And until next time, this is Jades Corner signing off. Peace. And now a quick sneak peek and tease for the next Fantasy Fights video. And while you're at it, check out the playlist at the end for all the recent thrilling battles previously covered. Or if you're looking forward to the next video, check out the following battle at the end.